Hi, everyone, and welcome to the Edward Jones Chatting Cage. I am JB, setting things up in the cage once again, this time for Nick Tropeano of the Los Angeles Angels of Anaheim. Nick, thanks for being with us.
Hey, thanks for having me, guys.
I would go to Twitter for a question first, but when I go to Twitter, I see your avatar and your name, so we're going to ask about that first. Folks, if you want to reach out, it's at Papa Tropeano. Nick, how did we get there as a name?
Well, a couple of my buddies kind of came up with it. There was a song, Papa Americano, that came out a couple years back, and you know, the singing of the song and whatnot, they just kind of plugged my last name into the song and kind of made my Twitter handle from there.
I got to do it. For those that don't know, what's the melody? How's that song go exactly? How's it fit?
Papa Americano, da, 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 da. Something like that.
There you go. So Americano fits in. There you have it, folks. These are how things happen on Twitter. Pay attention. It moves really quick. That's Nick. I'm JB. Get your mobile device fired up. Get your webcam fired up. Join us right here in the Edward Jones Chatting Cage. In the meantime, I will ask questions via Twitter, #ChattingCage, or via the MLB Fans app, which I go to now for this question from Legit24. Nick, growing up, did you try to model yourself after any particular pitcher? If so, who was that?
Growing up, I idolized Roger Clemens. He's a workhorse kind of guy. Ate up a lot of innings. So I watched a lot of film growing up, watching him and stuff like that. So I kind of emulated him a little bit.
All right, there you have it, folks. That's a question via the Fans app. I'm JB. That's Nick Tropeano, the Pride of West Islip, right here in the Edward Jones Chatting Cage. We need fans to join us in the cage, just like this fan. What's your name? Where you're from? What's your question for Nick?
Hi, I'm Joe from New York, and my question is, who's the most intimidating batter that you face in the majors?
The most intimidating batter, I would say, would be Adrian Beltre, just because, he's a veteran guy. He makes adjustments, as the pitch goes on. And, he's a veteran guy, like I said, and, he knows how to hit, and that's why he's been in the league for so long.
There you have it, folks. Just like Joe from New York, you too can join us in the chatting cage. Just fire up your mobile device, your webcam, get your question, your FaceTime with Nick right there. Meanwhile, I'll go back to mobile fans, the MLB Fans app. Jasmine27 wants to know, what's your favorite stadium to play in, Nick?
My favorite city might have to be Seattle. I like going there. The actual city, the vibe itself is just very nice. Good place to eat, good sushi, all that kind of stuff. So I'd definitely say so far my career it'd be Seattle.
Seattle, a great place to play, and as Nick said, a great place to eat. So if you're going to the ballpark, you can both eat on the way there and then eat there. It's a great time. That's Nick Tropeano. I'm JB. A fan joins us. What's your name, where you're from? What's your question for Nick?
I'm Matthew from New Jersey. I want to know, what was it like to make your MLB debut?
What's going on, Matthew? Making my major league debut was, kind of a surreal moment for me. Working your whole life, to fulfill your dream, and finally getting that call. It's very exciting, and I'm very grateful to be here.
A great question from Matthew. Nick, I want to follow up on that. Is there a moment from that debut that stands out to you? Is there one that sort of crystallizes that event for you?
I think just taking that mound for the first time, walking out there, in front of the big crowd and the big stage. Obviously you have those nerves, but after that first pitch, it just becomes baseball.
There you have it, folks. So an insight to Papa Tropeano's major league debut. We continue the conversation again. #ChattingCage on Twitter, and I'll grab that here, or in the MLB Fans app. You can just click on the comments right below the show, and you will be a part of the conversation. I will go to this one. This is GG_Nick. Another Nick wants to know, this is a little less baseball. What's your favorite movie, Nick?
My favorite movie has to be Rocky. It's a little old school, but, watching that as a kid, kind of motivated me, being an underdog and whatnot, and it's a great motivation for me. So I'd say Rocky for sure.
And to be clear, the original Rocky.
Yeah, the original Rocky. We're not talking Rocky 5. We're going the original Rocky.
There's a lot of options in that franchise. The original still probably holds the best. I do have to say, on a sidebar, Creed is a nice follow-up to the franchise. It plays out pretty nicely. Seen Stallone in that again.
Oh, absolutely. They made a nice sequel to that, and I enjoy watching that, for sure.
They followed up well. Another fan joins us for the conversation. Let's see what it's about. What's your name, where you're from, what's your question?
I'm Maritana. I'm from Anaheim. My question is, how would you feel pitching toward Mike Trout?
Oh, wow. I would just hope for the best. Obviously, he's one of the best players in the game, and he's proved himself year in and year out, and he's intimidating up there. But obviously, I'm glad I'm on the same side as him. So
he's got to be a guy on the roster that you are really grateful plays for your team.
Yeah, absolutely. the numbers show, and it's someone you don't want to be facing in a clutch situation.
There you have it, folks. This is the Edward Jones Chatting Cage. Nick Tropeano of the Angels answering your questions. I go back to Twitter now. This is from PT Joe 773. If you weren't a pro baseball player, Nick, what would you be doing?
That's a good question. I would have to say, going to school, I was a biology major, so I wanted to try to take that into, physical therapy, that type of field. And so, if baseball ever, doesn't work out, I think I'm going to have to go back to school and, focus on that career.
And that was it. That was out of Long Island, too. Stony Brook? Did you take the biology there?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, Stony Brook University, right on the east end of Long Island.
A lovely place. It's also near my hometown, so I'm a big fan of the Seawolves out there at Stony Brook. So biology, would you have followed it right all the way? You think PT would have been the way to go? Would you have expanded it in some way? Or what was your real fascination there?
I would say, PT. I was always interested of, rehabbing players and stuff like that. Either PT or kind of like a physician assistant, something along those lines. But obviously, baseball has been my dream forever, so that's my real passion. Yeah,
that's true, and it's great to hear. And as we know, with careers, you got to go after that now. Biology will be there. You're in good shape there. Obviously, a smart guy. Nick Tropeano in the Edward Jones Chatting Cage. Fans, fire up your mobile device, your webcam, whatever you do. Join us on the show, just like this fan. What's your name? Where are you from? What's your question for Nick?
I'm Noah from Davis, California. My question is, what is your favorite food to eat?
I have to say pizza. Being from New York, growing up in New York, pizza's a key dish over there, and I definitely have to say pizza for sure.
Pizza leads the way for Nick, and you should know, Nick, Noah had backup dancers. I think that was the first Chatting Cage participant who had a full family of backup dancers there, so we appreciate that question from Noah, and you answered it. We go now to the EDJ question of the day. While you enjoy that pizza, Nick, what's the last TV show you binge-watched?
The last TV show I binge-watched would have to be The Office. It's on Netflix, and it's one of those shows that I could watch repeatedly and just continue laughing, and definitely The Office would be up there for me.
There's no doubt The Office is one of the great series. Now, have you watched the British one, the original one as well?
I've watched a couple episodes. I never really got into it, but it's still pretty funny for sure.
The American one lightened it up. That British one's a little dark. Ricky Gervais is great, but a little bit of a dark series here.
Yeah, absolutely.
Not as light American as this one. This is the Edward Jones Chatting Cage. Another fan getting into the show. What's your name? Where are you from? What is your question?
My name is Alexia. I'm from Anaheim, California, and my question is, what's your favorite ballpark food?
My favorite ballpark food would have to be, just an old-fashioned hot dog. Maybe throw a little bit of sauerkraut on there, some mustard. But, yeah, I definitely like to stick to the hot dog and maybe some nachos as well.
All right, the classic hot dog, classic answer from Nick Tropeano. We go back to the MLB Fans app. We talked earlier, Roger Clemens was somebody you modeled yourself after as a pitcher you looked up to. Other than Clemens, I'm going to ask this for Alejandro08. Who was your baseball hero?
I would have to say Derek Jeter. Growing up, being a Yankees fan from New York, he was kind of a role model for me. He was never in the limelight for something negative. He handled himself good on and off the field, and he was the guy I kind of looked up to growing up.
There you have it. Jeter, absolutely one of the class acts in all of sports. Certainly somebody to look up to. I think he's been a hero of a lot of people who both played and watched baseball. We have another fan with us in the cage. What is your name? Where are you from? What's your question?
My name is Chris. I'm from San Jose, California. Yeah, Nick, who's the funniest guy in the Angels clubhouse?
Oh, that's a good question. We got a lot of characters on the team, but I'd have to say day in and day out, I think Houston Street might be one of the funniest guys for me. Just what he says, what he does. He keeps it loose, which is fun in the clubhouse, and for sure, Houston Street.
So it's Houston Street leads the way in that clubhouse, for real. Is he a one-liner guy? Does he set stuff up? Because we get this question pretty often. There's guys that have pranks, guys that have props, and guys that are just one-liners and dry. Where's Houston fall?
Absolutely. I mean, like I said, there's a couple of characters on our team. There's a lot of funny guys, but I think he's just more consistent, day in and day out with the, the jokes and just keeping it loose and whatnot.
I like a guy on a baseball team. That's part of it. The grind of the season is important. If you can pound out comedy for 162 games a year, then you're a funny guy in the clubhouse. People need that.
Oh, for sure. It keeps it loose. You got to keep it loose.
Houston Street, the answer there. I go back to the MLB Fans app. I like this question because it's a good question. You'll see what it is. Angels fan 27512 wants to know, Nick, I'm a big fan of yours, and I want to be the first woman in Major League Baseball. What are your tips for me?
I would just say keep working at it. I mean, obviously, it doesn't come easy. We working from a young age, and you just gotta keep at it. I mean, it's one of those things that repetition is a huge thing in baseball. And just keep working and keep grinding. That's all I can say.
All right, a great answer in almost all fields, and certainly if you want to get into baseball. And one more question before we go, again from the app. Janet Planet wants to know, what is your favorite pitch to throw, Nick?
My favorite pitch would have to be my changeup. My changeup's kind of one of my key pitches for me, and I like to throw it in certain counts and whatnot, but it's definitely a good pitch for me.
There you have it, folks. That is the answer. Now, Nick, I know we had to adjust our times a little bit because word is you were in the actual batting cages today working for a road trip that ends up in an NL Park. Is that true?
That's right. I was taking some G-hacks up there, trying to put some balls in the bullpen. Didn't work out, but.
All right. Well, that session didn't work out. How do you feel like this chatting cage session went? Okay, gonna go a little better.
Oh, it was amazing. I'm glad you guys had me, and it's fun answering all these fans' questions.
All right, there you have it. A great pitcher and a great man, Nick Tropeano. Papa Tropeano on Twitter says thank you and goodbye, and I say thank you to Nick, and I say thank you to the fans. And we'll see you on the next round of the Edward Jones chatting cage.